The issue we really want to deal with is called distress. And the significance of that is a stress that promotes a negative environment. I say, well, what does distress mean? And it's very simple. Distress is a result of anything that gets in the way of your destination. Whether your destination is a career move, or whether your destination is a relationship, or whether your destination is trying to take care of your health or your financial background, anything that interferes with those, by definition, is a source of stress. So distress is the bad stress that interferes with health. And I say, well, how does it interfere with health? And number one is simply this. When you put cells in a petri dish, I can create an experiment where I create two sets of dishes. In one set of dishes, I put nutrients in front of the cells to support their growth. In the second set of dishes, I put a toxic element that threatens the cell's life. I put these culture dishes back into the incubator, wait for a while, come back, take the dishes out, and then I look, where are the cells in each of these two dishes? Well, number one, when you put nutrients that support the life of the cell in the dish, the cells move to the nutrients to take in the nutrients, assimilate them, and put them in their body. But in the petri dish with the toxic elements, the cells don't move to the toxic element. In fact, they move the opposite way. The cells move away from the signal, and in this case, in the form of protection, they also close themselves down to wall off the threat. So we have two different behaviors based on the signals. A positive signal causes the cell to move to the signal, open its arms, and take in, assimilate the positive signal. A negative signal causes cells to move backwards away from the signal and close themselves down in protection. The point is this: cells cannot move forwards and backwards at the same time. Cells cannot be open and closed at the same time. The net result is a very simple conclusion. Cells can either be in growth, moving to the signals and assimilating, or cells can be in protection, moving away from the signal and walling themselves off. And the important part about this is that these behaviors are mutually exclusive. A cell cannot be in growth and protection at the same time. So, when we look at this picture and understand it, then what we can recognize is a simple fact. Protection mechanisms wall off the body and stop growth. I go, well, that sounds like a very bad situation. Why would we do that? Why would we shut down our growth mechanisms when we're under stress? That might be the time we need to activate those mechanisms. The answer is no, for a very simple reason. Historically, in evolution, go back to primitive people. And I say, well, tell me about their lives. And I go, well, very simple lives, looking for food, hanging out in the trees, and just enjoying the Garden of Eden at the time. But then I say, occasionally, a saber-toothed tiger shows up. And I go, well, that means the human has to protect itself. And I say, well, what's the human going to do? Engage in fight or flight. This is the engagement offered by the hormones of the adrenal system. I say, yeah, but what does that mean? I say, well, imagine you're running away from a saber-toothed tiger, and I say, how much energy do you want to allocate to your fight or flight mechanism to escape the tiger? And the point is logically very simple. All the energy that I can make available, I want to have available to escape the tiger. So I say, yeah, but the energy in the body is being used to do many different things, such as growth and maintenance of the body, taking care of it, growth functions, and energy is actually used for the immune system. And it uses a lot of energy, that immune system, only because, as you well know, when you're sick, most people don't have enough energy to even get out of bed. So the immune system uses a lot of energy, and growth uses energy. So I say, you're being chased by a saber-toothed tiger, how would you split up the energy? And I would say, stop the energy for the growth mechanism. Why? I don't need to grow right now. I need to escape and save my life. I don't escape. Growth is irrelevant. The same thing applies to the immune system. If I'm having a bacterial infection and I'm being chased by a saber-toothed tiger, what would be the benefit of funding the immune system with energy? Because if the tiger catches you, that bacterial infection is not your problem anymore. It might even be the problem of the tiger. So the point about it is simply this. In a state of threat, stress hormones are released from the pituitary master gland to control the protection response in our body. The stress hormones do two things. They shut down all mechanisms that utilize energy that are not necessary from escaping from the tiger. So growth and the immune system are inhibited under the influence of stress hormones. When the system evolved 1,000,000 years ago, the only stresses that people had were that occasional saber-toothed tiger. So there will only be short intervals of using a protection response, just long enough to escape from the tiger. When the individual had escaped the tiger, they were no longer needing a protection response. That stress system would shut down and the system would return back to normal growth. But that was 1,000,000 years ago. Today, the stress that we face in our world is not little short bursts, but actually 24/7, 365. Every day, based on what's going on in the world, financially, health-wise, whatever, stress of that information is released in our body in the form of stress hormones, and they end up shutting down the growth and the immune system. And I go, well, that's not the original intention, a short burst of protection, because chronic protection leads to chronic problems because of its ability to shut down the maintenance of the body and the immune system.